Hey, I'm back again with another video. And in this video, what I want to do is talk about an observation that I made many years ago, which is the fact that Black Americans are not united and they don't stick together in the manner that they should. Now, I'm not really certain if this also applies to other groups of black people from different ethnicities like blacks in Africa, Brazilians that are uh, of African descent. But what I've noticed, at least with the Haitian community, is that they really do rally and support one another in their efforts. They send money home when they come over here to the United States. They don't forget about where they came from and they don't forget about their family back home. They're always sending money to their relatives in Haiti. And the same applies to a lot of Jamaicans as well. As a matter of fact, I feel as though black Americans are the only group, of non whites, the only ethnic minority group in the United States that does not really stick together. If we were more united, and I'm saying this as an African American who was born here and raised here, if blacks were more united, we would see a lot more progress, and the black community would be much more successful, and you wouldn't see the level of dysfunction that you see in the black community today if we were more united in trying to get things done and a lot more progressive in our thinking. Now, back to the Haitians, what I noticed, I'm going to give you a case in point. What I noticed is that once a Haitian person gets their foot in the door somewhere, even if it's just an entry level job, they quickly work their way up to a supervisory position. And then once one of them becomes a supervisor, they try to get as many as their countrymen into the business as they can. This one Walmart store that I go to quite often, almost everyone that works there is Haitian. I don't have a problem with that, you know. As long as they're respectful and they do their job, I have no problems with that. But, I see the inverse with black Americans. A black American is more prone to stab another black American in the back on the job. Therefore, you can't really trust most black Americans, from my experience. They'll smile in your face, and then once you turn your back, some of them will try to either sabotage your work or spread a rumor or a lie about you to try to get you off the job or to try to get you written up or, ruin your reputation. I don't see too much of that with blacks from other cultures like black Jamaicans or uh, black a black Haitian. Like I said, a black Haitians are much more united, and they have more pride in their culture than black Americans tend to or appear to have. And I think it all goes back to the Willie Lynch mentality or Willie Lynch syndrome. Some people say that this Willie Lynch thing was a fraud, but I believe that it's true. At least to some extent, there is some truth to Willie Lynch syndrome or crab in a bucket mentality, to where one person may not want to see another person progress to a level higher than the level that they're on. And it may be either conscious or subconscious. This is kind of funny, but I remember years ago, I was in line at a job fair. I had gotten up very early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, to be in line at the job fair. And by the time I got there, it was like about 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was there with my sister. So I was maybe number 10 in line. And there was a Haitian guy in front of me, and we were talking the whole time until the building opened and the management started conducting their interviews. So he was talking about how he came over here from Haiti over 30 years ago. And the first place he moved was, I think, New York. It was somewhere up there in a northern state. And after living up north for several years, he decided to move to Florida. He was able to get a great job working at a restaurant within a 5-star hotel, and it was a really high paying job. Basically, I forgot the name of the position that he was in, but he said it had to do with being a waiter and serving wines to high society people, rich people. So he said it wasn't uncommon for him to take home $300-400 a night in tips. So that job was there was a lot of competition for people to get in and get that position. But the thing is, he worked mostly with a lot of Hispanic people, and he complained that he felt like his supervisor was trying to get him fired. His supervisor is a Cuban guy. He suspect that his supervisor wanted to get rid of him in order to put a Cuban person in his position. So he was just talking about how he thought it is very unfair for Cubans to hire their own and to look after their own. But I'm agreeing. Yeah, I think that is unfair for a person to. What I was expressing to him is that I don't think that there's anything wrong with someone helping out a person from their own country. But then in the same breath, I think it's wrong to exclude someone because of the fact that they're not from the same country that you're in, that you may come from, even if they meet the qualifications for the job position that they're applying for. I mostly agreed with his stance, but then I'm sitting there thinking at the same time that you Haitian people do the same thing. They hire their they hire their own kind. So in a way, it's kind of hypocritical for him to be complaining about a Cuban person trying to run him off the job when his people do the same thing sometimes. Now, I'm not talking about how black people who come from outside of the United States treat outsiders. For instance, I'm not talking about how Haitians may treat black Americans or how Haitians may interact with Jamaicans or how Jamaicans may treat black Americans and so on and so forth. I'm not talking about how non Americans treat American blacks. What I'm talking about is the difference between how black Americans may view and treat each other and interact with one another versus how non American black people interact with one another. You know what I'm saying? That's a different story. We all know that people tend to treat those who are from the same group better, or they may have a tendency to get along better with people who are from within the same group, and they may treat outsiders differently. That's just human nature. So I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying here is that Black Americans, from my experience, aren't as united as they should be. And I really think that they should take a page out of the book of Black people who come from other nations. And, maybe we'll begin to see more progress if that happens.